OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everybody, it is Courtney here from the OutCastedOC podcast, and today I will be doing the Smackdown review. So I watched it a couple of hours ago, wrote some notes, kind of took some time to digest what had happened, and so I thought I would tell you. Now, I want you guys to bear in mind, whenever I do these reviews, I'll always look down, and it's just because I have notes. I kind of do it just to keep myself on track with what I'm talking about rather than just going off on a tangent. But also, as well, another thing, you'll find that with my reviews, I don't really recap the matches as much as like talking about their sequences and kind of this and this and this. Like I'll drop that in every now and then, but try and keep the reviews nice and short. I just talk about the matches, who won, if I liked the match, a few things about it, but I won't be going into serious detail about the matches. So yeah. With that being said, we started off Friday Night Smackdown with the first of the triple threat matches for the spot in the semi-final, which is the main event of tonight's Smackdown. Now, the first triple threat match saw Edge, AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio take on each other for a spot in the semi-final. This is a really great match. I have written down that Edge was the only one that actually got a full entrance in front of the crowd on TV. Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles were already in the ring when the episode started, so I think they must have done that solely because they knew they had two triple threat matches to get through as well as a semi-final match. So with SmackDown, you'll find that there's kind of a bit more of a time crunch than there is with Monday Night Raw. So yeah, I wrote that Edge's entrance, the crowd was very hot for him, obviously after his comments that he made about him wanting to win the World Heavyweight title. Obviously the fans were really much behind him. As well as him running over to the title and staring at it and kind of like looking at it being like, this is what I could have. But yeah, so it was a very good match. All three of them have really good in-ring chemistry together. With this match, you'll kind of see that Rey Mysterio and Edge, they're very good friends. They've worked very well together. But with this match, you'll find that they kind of obviously were working against each other a little bit more because they knew that they obviously were vying for one spot. So obviously they can be friends, but they've still got to fight each other at the end of the day. But it was a very, very good match. They were all sporting blue as well too, which was really cool because this is the first episode of SmackDown since the draft has come into effect. And obviously all three of these superstars are on SmackDown. So it's really cool to see that they've got that brand pride already. Commentary also referenced Edge having to relinquish the title, and obviously that it would be really awesome for him to win it back at some point before he retires. So it was nice that Michael Cole and Wade Barrett kind of realised that obviously this has happened online over the last couple of days, and obviously to make a reference of it. But you know, there were some really, really good spots in this match. Like I said, I don't go through it sequence by sequence, but there were some really, really good moves here. The last part of the match kind of worked across in the way that like Edge, there's a really cool move where Edge actually hit AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio with a double spear through the ropes, which that was a really, really cool spot. Looked quite brutal, but it looked really good as well too. And there was also a submission move where Rey was in a submission move by AJ Styles. He was in the calf crusher, and then Edge hit Rey Mysterio with a crossface. So there was a double submission taking place as well too, which was really cool to see. But yeah, AJ Styles ended up using the phenomenal forearm and he ended up taking the win. Now I was really excited to see AJ Styles win. I really think we need to rebuild AJ Styles into that top force that he used to be, obviously when he came in and had his feud with John Cena. We've kind of lost that similar spark that we had with AJ Styles since then, so it would be really nice if we could rebuild AJ Styles up again. So yeah, I was really stoked to see that AJ won the match, well deserved, especially after coming back from his injury. But I was very excited. I really like AJ Styles. I think he's a massive asset in the division, and I genuinely think we need to start rebuilding him and rebooking him a lot better. I think at the hands of Triple H we can make that happen, but Triple H isn't a perfect booker. Everybody has their strong suits and everyone has things that they need to work on. So I think it's one of those things that we just need to work really hard to build AJ Styles back up. But yeah. So then we had a video package of Sami and Jey Uso obviously referencing their WrestleMania main event. And then obviously we had a video package reminder of them the rematch that took place a couple weeks ago, and then we obviously had a Backlash package, so that obviously was reminding everybody about what's happened. Then we had a quick video glimpse of the fact that the Usos were backstage, obviously before Roman Reigns returns to Smackdown. Then straight after this, we actually had the second triple threat match. Now, I kind of was shocked that they were trying to push through this as fast as they could, but I then remembered that they've got 2 triple threat matches, a semi-final, and then a couple of other matches to get through, so I can understand the pacing. I will say really quickly, this episode was full of a lot of wrestling, which I think is one way that you can kind of tell that either Triple H is in charge, or we have a new sense of direction with Monday Night Raw and Friday Night Smackdown. I really like it when there's a lot of wrestling involved rather than just video packages. Mind you, this episode did have quite a few video packages, but it still had quite a lot of wrestling, which as a fan I really enjoy turning on the TV and seeing what I'm actually signing up for. So the second triple threat match was Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley and Sheamus. Now, with the previous match being filled with a lot of technicians and a lot of good technical moves and submission based, this was full. I mean, even Michael Cole and Wade Barrett referenced this, so I'm not the only person. This was full of a lot of brawling and bruising men, like with raw power and brute force, you know. So it was a very hard-hitting, heavy match. There was a spot where Bobby Lashley threw Austin Theory into the ring post, and then obviously there was also a spot where Bobby Lashley ended up getting thrown into the ring steps, which he ended up getting cut by doing that and bleeding out on the canvas, which obviously we don't like to see people bleeding, but it was a very hard-hitting move nonetheless. And then at the end of the match, Bobby was bleeding, and then he put Austin Theory into a hurt lock, and Austin Theory attempted to break it, but then at the end of the match, Bobby Lashley ended up winning. I forgot to write down the sequence of moves that happened towards Bobby Lashley winning, but nonetheless, he won the match. So it is set that Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles will take place in the semi-final, which is at the end of tonight in the main event, which pretty good matchup. They both have differences in their wrestling styles, and I think that kind of complements each other. So you've got Bobby Lashley, who has a lot of the brute force and a lot of the power, where you've got AJ, who's got that speed, agility, and technician. And as the commentary team likes to reference that he has a lot of cat-like agility. Then we ended up quickly having a little backstage shot showing Roman Reigns' locker room, obviously showing that he will be there to address the WWE Universe. Another video package, which was to quickly just remind us about what's happening on Raw this week. So in case you missed it, it's a video package of how will Cody react to Brock Lesnar attacking him on the last Monday Night Raw that we just had. And then obviously the return / debut of Gunther on Monday Night Raw. And they referenced how he is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of like the century, so like the last century we've basically had. And then obviously they showed a quick video package of Trish Stratus's tricks that she played on Becky Lynch, and they've asked how will Becky Lynch react. Becky Lynch addresses what happened, so that's all in store for Monday. Then we end up getting a video package of Adam Pearce backstage. Grayson Waller comes into the frame and basically asks that if next week, whoever the winner of the semi-final match will be a guest on the Grayson Waller Effect show, which this is the first time that the Grayson Waller Effect show will be shown on the main roster, which is really cool. Great, not Grayson Waller. Adam Pearce was like, yep, awesome, let's do it. So I think this is a really cool way to introduce Grayson Waller from the character that he had in NXT and keep that continuation of the character flowing into the main roster. So that's in store for us next week, which will be very exciting to see. Then we had the match between Baron Corbin and Cameron Grimes that was made official last week by Adam Pearce. Not much to say about this match. Cameron Grimes squashed Baron Corbin, so I think it's a great way to show Cameron Grimes on the main roster and obviously to continue the storyline of what is Baron Corbin doing. He's not as great as he used to be, but I do kind of wish this match was given a little bit more time, and I can understand why it wasn't, but I kind of wish it maybe had just a little bit more time to it, but that's okay. Cameron Grimes pretty much just did some form of like drop kick to Baron Corbin, and that's it. So yeah, so Cameron Grimes with the win. Then we had another video package reminder of Cody Rhodes at Backlash and obviously what happened there, and then obviously Brock Lesnar's retaliation on Monday Night Raw. And then at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, which would have been the top of the 9 o'clock hour, we had Roman Reigns come out. And I wrote down Roman Reigns' entrance with the whole bloodline. So it's kind of cool to see that the whole bloodline was there rather than it just being Roman, Paul, and Solo and not the Usos. So Roman Reigns is talking about how his family is the only family in WWE history to have main evented both nights of WrestleMania. He also did note that, the 2-night WrestleMania hasn't been around that long, but we will probably be the only family to do that. And he talks about how since then, Solo Sikoa is the only person in the bloodline that has stepped up. He said, Solo swims like a shark. He eliminates the problems. He eliminated Riddle. And then Solo was kind of hesitant when it came to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and he kind of alluded to the fact that it's kind of not really done. And then Roman Reigns went ahead and said, don't worry about Sami Zayn and KO. They aren't the problem. There is an actual problem. And so I was kind of like, where is this going? And then Roman Reigns goes ahead and says that the Usos are the problem. Which, I mean, it's pretty obvious that, Roman Reigns is very upset with the Usos. He hasn't been around them on TV for the last 6 weeks. Roman Reigns hasn't been on TV since WrestleMania. The Raw after WrestleMania. I stand corrected. But yes, so he says, what did you think would happen if you lose at Mania? You're begging for a rematch and then you dedicate that match to me and you lose? He said, I'm the greatest singles champion of all time. We have Hall of Fame tag teams in our family. You dedicate this match to me and you still lose? You embarrassed me. You misrepresented me and the family. And he said, you know better. And he said, I want you to apologize. He said, I don't want you to say anything unless you are apologizing. So obviously, Roman Reigns is very upset by the fact that Jimmy and Jay not only lost the undisputed tag team titles, but have been unable to regain them, and also dedicating a match to him and the family and still failing on that. So Jimmy looks at Jay and, Roman says, if I was you, I wouldn't listen to the idiot crowd, because the crowd is like, don't apologize. And Roman's like, well, if I was you, I probably wouldn't listen to the idiots and I would actually apologize. And then Roman goes ahead and shoves Jimmy, and Jimmy looks like visibly angry. He looks really grumpy, like he's about to beat the crap out of Roman. And he goes up to him like he's about to. And then Jay says, we apologize. He's talking on behalf of him and Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, what? He's looking at him and he's probably thinking, he's like, I'm not sorry, or I'm not going to apologize. Why are you speaking for me? And he said, give us one more shot. We can bring the tag titles back to the bloodline. So then Paul Heyman grabs the mic and introduces himself and says, hello, ladies and gentlemen. And he said that, the tribal chief has come in with a game plan. He's been pulling some strings behind the scenes, flexing that bloodline muscle, and he has made it official that the tag team titles will be fought for at the Night of Champions premium live event in Saudi Arabia. But it will be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens going up against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, because he clearly doesn't trust the Usos enough to be able to get the titles back themselves, that Roman has to step in to do it. So, and he also said that he wants to dedicate the win to the Wild Samoans, who are Afa and Sika. Don't really know how to feel about this, because I was quite confused when this got announced as official, because as far as I was aware, Sami Zayn doesn't want to travel to Saudi Arabia for political issues. I won't go into them here. And obviously Kevin Owens stands with Sami Zayn in solidarity. So I'm kind of confused as to how they've been able to make this work. Because for the longest time, we knew that if they were still going to be holding the tag titles by this point in time, we didn't know if they'd be defended in Saudi Arabia. So it's cool to see that this is the way they're going about it. But very confused. So obviously the Usos aren't going to be helping get the titles back. I do think they will play a part in the match somehow at Night of Champions, but the fact that Roman has had to step in to get the titles back clearly shows that he's very visibly pissed off at the Usos for not being able to, do what they're supposed to do. Then we had a really quick backstage segment with Kayla Braxton talking to Damage Control. So obviously Io Sky, Dakota Kai and Bayley. I don't know if you took note of this, but I really paid attention to Io during this portion of the video package because I knew that she would be very upset about the loss after Backlash. She didn't say anything, she just looked visibly upset and bothered. Bayley goes ahead and brings it upon herself and says that, leaders take things into their own hands, and that's why we're going to win these tag titles back. And you can tell Roman Reigns that SmackDown belongs to Damage Control. So we had Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez come out to the ring. Now, this match, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Damage Control, I've seen it before. I'm not going to comment on it because, quite frankly, and I feel really bad saying this, there's nothing about Liv Morgan that I connect with. I don't know if it's her promo style. I don't know if it's her as a character. I don't know if it's her in-ring style. But to me, I just don't really connect with her. There's nothing about her as a wrestler that I resonate with, so I kind of don't gravitate towards her. And that's totally fine. There can be wrestlers in the industry that you don't really see very much in them that you can resonate to, and that's totally fine. That's just how I feel about Liv Morgan. For me personally, I kind of just feel like she's been on the main roster for a really long time, and I feel like they either should have done more with her or she should be better than what she is. But that's just my opinion, and that's how I feel. But before the match actually took underway, we had a video package of the Usos quickly backstage trying to pick a fight with the LWO. The LWO was like, what are you doing? Like, just leave us alone. Like, you're clearly upset. Just, like, go away. Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio come into the frame, and they're basically like, well, it's not our fault that your tribal heavy doesn't like you. And then Damage Control come out and the match gets underway. I'm not really going to talk about the match very much because I have deja vu, because the last time I did a review for Smackdown, they also had a tag team match between these two, so I kind of don't really see the point talking about it too much. But one thing I will say is that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, who were also referenced as the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, were watching backstage. So the camera panned to them a few times as well. At the end of the day, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez won the match. So Bayley directed Io to go and grab the tag titles to obviously use them to help out Bayley and Dakota Kai. But then Raquel ends up sorting out Io, and then that's how Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez win the match. Then we had a video package backstage of the Brawling Brutes. This was after Sheamus had lost within the Triple Threat match, and Ridge Holland was trying to console him, it's okay, it's okay. And then we had the debut of Pretty Deadly, so I was very excited for this. I wrote down in my notes, Brawling Brutes and Pretty Deadly looking good. They work well together. So they had a video package where they were just, trying to fill out some forms, and they were asking, did you write down this for yours, which obviously got Butch quite upset, write down something else for Ridge Holland kind of thing. That was their backstage segment. I think this is a really good way to introduce Pretty Deadly to the main roster if we haven't seen them before. And then after the ad break, we came back to Bianca Belair's championship reign. And I wrote down in my notes because I was very surprised and very shocked by this. Bianca got on the top, stood on the ropes, in heels as well. Your favourite couldn't do that. And then while she was trying to celebrate with the crowd, Asuka came out and tried to shake her hand, and then Bianca actually shook her hand and she got hit with the mist again. And I wrote down, really? We're doing this again? I kind of thought after WrestleMania we would kind of see the end of Asuka and Bianca, but I guess that is going to carry on onto SmackDown. Hopefully it doesn't drag on too long. I don't know. I was trying to think of who could be a good challenger for Bianca Belair on SmackDown with the new roster, but clearly they're going to go with Asuka again, so yeah. And then they quickly just showed AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley warming up backstage before the main event. Then we had a quick little recap showing us of Bianca Belair. She was out the back in medical, freaking out because she's got the blue mist in her eyes. And then we had some previews of what will be happening next week. So Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns will be facing off against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Then we'll have the LWO versus the Bloodline, but it's specifically the Usos. Then we'll have Pretty Deadly versus Brawling Brutes. I'm very excited for that. And obviously the episode of Grayson Waller effect with whoever the winner is from the semi-final match for the World Heavyweight Championship. So then we move on to the semi-final match. I wrote a note down, obviously, because this is Bobby Lashley's second match of the night after his hit on the ring steps. Bobby has a massive bump on his head, and obviously commentary referenced that, you know, he might be a bit dizzy, a bit woozy kind of thing. But yeah, so they move on to the semi-final match between AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley. This is a really, really good match. I like the technical aspect of AJ Styles' in-ring work mixed with the power of Bobby Lashley. Makes it very unpredictable as to who could be the winner of this match. But all in all, it was a really, really good match. I won't say very much on it. I'll let you see it for yourself. Yeah, very, very good match. Lots of submission moves kind of thing, trying to get into the hurt lock. But at the end of the day, AJ Styles ended up winning the match. Very excited for it. So now it's AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins at the Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia in the final match for the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship. I like the fact that they're referencing the history that they've had. Seth Rollins and AJ Styles as individual wrestlers have really good in-ring chemistry with anybody that they work with. So these two together, it is going to be a clinic of wrestling. It's going to be a clinic of specialist wrestling, technical wrestling, high-flying agility. I'm very excited for it. I'm a massive Seth Rollins fan, and I also really like AJ Styles as well too. I think he's insanely underrated and underutilized. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to this match. So yeah, that is my SmackDown recap. It was a really good episode, kind of flew by, obviously, because there was quite a lot packed into the 2-hour period. But yeah, so that is my recap. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on our social medias. I will leave them listed down below. We will also be doing a podcast next week, so make sure that you tune in to our social medias, so our Instagram and our TikTok. We will be talking about what we're going to be doing on the podcast, and you can find out the times and where to find us to listen to the podcast. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed that. That's me finished. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and also follow us on our social media. Bye guys.